Hey everyone, Sarah Elizabeth LaHood here, and today we're talking about the basics of Mailchimp. Now, Mailchimp is something that we all are talking about. We're always hearing about it, and it's a really, really powerful and simple tool. But as we all know, technology in any shape or form can be completely overwhelming when you first get started in it, especially if you're not sure exactly on what you need to do. So before we dig into the ins and outs of Mailchimp, I want to make sure that you're feeling really clear and confident about why you want to use Mailchimp. So Mailchimp is a CRM, so that's client something management, relationship management, or customer relationship management, depending on your industry. And it basically is just a place where you can house all sorts of information about your clients and customers, particularly their names and email addresses, so that you can reach out to them when you need to or want to. There are lots of CRMs available out there. Other ones include MailerLite. They actually are, I'm pretty sure, completely free. And then there's Aweber, and there's Ontraport, and there's Infusionsoft. So there's all sorts of ConvertKit is another one. There's all sorts of CRMs out there. Mailchimp is maybe not the most intuitive option, but it is and can be one of the simplest. Okay, so remember, you're using this really to house information about your clients and customers so that you can keep in touch with them and really, really build that relationship. Okay, so it's all about relationships. So make sure that you're going into this knowing that the technology can be powerful if you know why you're using it. Okay, so things we're going to do here in this tutorial. I'm going to show you how to set up your first Mailchimp list so that you can house that information, right? You get an email address, where are you going to keep it? You're going to keep it in your Mailchimp, quote unquote, list. But of course, you need to make sure you have a way to sign people up for that list. It is completely unethical to just take names and email addresses you have already and stick them on a list. So you got to have a way to make sure that people who actually want to be on that list of yours have a way of signing up. So I'll show you how to do that as well. And finally, you want to be able to reach them. So send those quote unquote email blasts, as they used to be called, right? So a big email, maybe a newsletter that you send out once a week, once a month, so you can keep in touch and really build that relationship. Now, there are lots more things you can do with Mailchimp. You can set up automated emails. You can set up emails that send particular information. So if you want to send downloads, if you want to send links, if you want to add GIFs, any of those things are possible. You also can create segments of your list in Mailchimp so that you can make sure certain people who are interested in different aspects of your business are really getting the information that they want. So all of that is possible, plus more, in Mailchimp, but we're just going to cover those three basics today. So how to create the list, how to get people on the list who want to be there, and how to send your first email campaign. Okay, so first things first, you got to create a list. Now I'm going to show you with my Mailchimp. I don't actually have a test account for this, so that means you're going to see some fun, sneaky information of mine. I am not going to show you any of my email subscribers' names or information, but you are going to see how many people I have on my different lists. So fair warning. Okay. So you can go here to lists. So you're going to sign up for your Mailchimp account, obviously, and you're going to be here, and this is going to be your home screen. But we're not going to do much on this home screen, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. The first thing you're going to do is, though, create that list. You're going to go here to lists, and you're going to create your first list. Now, you can, choose all these different things, but they're just really trying to confuse those of you who aren't familiar with the technology. So we're just going to make it simple. Just create a list. Now, we got to give it a name, and as you know, as it says to you right there, your subscribers will see this, okay? So it's really helpful if you name it something that they're going to recognize and remember, like, why they signed up. So for me, I might use my name, or for one of my group programs, like say for the Insane Heart Mastermind, I might say Insane Heart Mastermind. That way people are really remembering what they actually signed up for. But I'm just going to do Sarah Elizabeth and then test so I don't forget. Okay, your default from address, this should be your email address that you want people to be able to reply to, because if anyone hits reply, that email is going to go straight to this default from address. So make sure it's something you're checking pretty regularly. Who it's from, obviously your name or your business name. Okay, for me it's Sarah Elizabeth LaHood. That is pronounced like a hood on your head. I know it makes no sense. And then of course you want to be able to remind people why, or how rather, they signed up to this list. Okay, so usually it's something like, you're receiving this email because you opted in at sarahelizabethlahood.com, or you're receiving this email because you made a purchase at sarahelizabethlahood.com, or you're receiving this email because you subscribed at my webinar or something like that. Okay, so I'm actually just going to use one that I have already existing. This one says, you're receiving this email because you opted in at our website. So when you start having multiple lists, you'll be able to just kind of choose which reminder you want to throw in there. And the last thing you have here is your mailing address. Now you can see my mailing address. I'm not going to shy away from the fact that it's there. It's very personal information, and sometimes we do shy away from wanting to include this. And you can put a PO box there that is legal. Now, just before I give you this little bit of advice, know that I am not a lawyer. So if you do want to seek out, and I would recommend probably seeking out actual professional legal counsel, okay? But just a small tip, and it'll explain it here if you click on this. But the reason they ask for that is because it is actually a legal requirement within the US, and I believe in Canada and a lot of other countries as well, that you have a physical address included in these emails. It's mostly for your customers and your clients' safety. They want to make sure that you're a real person, and they want to make sure that you're not going to abuse the relationship that you have with these people. So putting your physical address there gives them, your clients that you are emailing, it gives them a little bit extra power should they become unhappy with the situation, okay? It's not that anyone's going to sue you. It's not that anyone's going to hunt you down. It's just the law, and we want to keep everyone as safe as we can. Okay, so there we go. Now the last part on here is you can choose how often you're getting notified when people join or add your list, okay? So if you're just starting out, you might get excited by doing both of these. So as soon as someone unsubscribes or subscribes, you might not want to do that one because it might just be depressing. Or you could just get a daily summary. Or if your list is getting really big really quickly, you might not want to click any of those at all. Now, before I move on, I will give you a small bit of advice or maybe information that might be comforting, especially if you're just building your list. The average number of unsubscribes every single time you send an email will be around 3%. That is an industry-wide average. That's just the way that it is. So every time you send an email newsletter to people, about 3% of those people will, on average, unsubscribe. Now, that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing because it means that someone actually opened your email. And remember that you weren't a great fit for what they needed in their life right then. So it really creates space for people who actually care about what you're doing. It also means that they're not messing with your stats because they're going to just keep deleting your email. They're just unsubscribing. So it is a good thing. So don't worry too much. As long as you're staying within or near that 3%, know that it's okay. You're doing pretty good. And also, it's a good argument to keep always growing your list because you will always be getting those unsubscribes. So it's in your benefit to constantly be growing your list. Okay, so we've got that all set up. And now here is where we will see people when they sign up, okay? So as I said, I'm not going to share who I've got on my list, but just know once you get people starting to sign up, you'll have things like their email, their name, their last name, and any other information you choose to ask for them. So things you can ask are like birthdays, I don't know, other random information that you might want to listen or might want to include, okay? So you can include whatever you want. But how do we get people to this list? Now, as I said, it's not ethical and nor is it legal to simply add names of people that you know onto this list without their explicit permission. You do need explicit permission from everybody. So, of course, you can invite people and say, do I have your permission to include you on this email list? But a much more automated way to do that is to create a sign-up form. Now, there's lots of ways to create sign-up forms. So things like the Thrive plugin or lead pages, you can integrate with Mailchimp in order to make really, really fancy sign-up forms, but you can actually create those forms in Mailchimp itself. So the way you're going to do that is you're going to click sign-up forms. Now, if you have trouble finding this once we leave this page, just remember, you're simply going to click lists, click on the name of the list that you want to see, and you'll have this menu up here, and you can click sign-up forms right there. Now, you can choose all sorts of different ones, but the simplest one you want to choose probably is general forms. So if I click this, I'll get to customize them. Now you see there's all sorts of forms here that I can customize, including my sign-up form, confirmation pages, the last welcome email that they may or may not get. You can choose whether they get it or not, and I'll show you that in a minute. And then these are all the forms that will happen when they do different actions. So say they want to update their email or they want to forward an email or unsubscribe or any of those kind of things. You can change the way all of these look, but know this. When you change the main page, all the other ones will change as well. So you can click on all these things. You can add text and stuff like that to different parts, okay? Or you can simply just design it. So I can change the background color to red, which would be really weird for me. I can change the header to having bigger font. As you can see, it's going to update every time I change these things. Oh, excuse me, that was the margin, not the font. There we go, font's way bigger, awesome. I can change the outer wrapper, so if I want there to be a background or not. And then of course, if I want to change the font, if I want to change, the colors, if I want to change the link colors, I can change all of these things, okay? I can change the color of the buttons when they hover over them. I can change, whether there are field labels and where they are. I can change whether there's a little required star next to stuff. I can change basically everything on here. Yeah, basically I can change anything on here. So, and then again, if you want to put an image up here, you absolutely can. You just click the image. You can upload any image you want. Let's pretend I want it to be a GIF and we'll insert it. And now the GIF rather is my header, okay? So you can change all of these great things, okay? So, but once I change this, okay, so this is now my sign up form, notice that when we get to the opt-in confirmation email, it's gonna have similar branding, okay? And the reason is that Mailchimp wants to make it easy on you to create consistency. So isn't that kind of that, okay? So you can go into each one of these, making sure that everything's looking the way that you want it to. And then of course we'll come to the final welcome email and you can choose whether to send that final welcome email or not, okay? So if you've said, you know, sign up here and you'll get, you know, my free list of epic resources. That was one of the ones I had a few years ago. If you wanted to include that, you could just make sure you check send final welcome email and you can type the link to that thing here. So you can say, yay, so glad that you're here. Here's the link to my list of epic resources for building your business. And I can highlight this and click hyperlink and I can hit insert the web address here. Now this is not the real web address if you try to find my epic resources list, but there we go. Okay, and I'll save that. And that means that they'll, when they get that final welcome email, they'll get this email that has the link to that epic resources right there. So there we go. We've got your list built. We've got a way for people to sign up for it. But how do you share this form? Again, very, very simple. You're just going to go back to your sign up form. It's going to give you a little URL there. You're going to copy that and you're going to put it wherever the heck you want. So you can share this on Facebook, Twitter, on your website, wherever you want. Okay. And that will take you, I'll show you, it's actually going to take you directly to that web page so I can start entering my information there. Okay. Don't worry so much about this untitled. You can absolutely remove that. That little bit, you can just come down here and delete it, okay? It doesn't need to be there. So boring watching me go through technology sometimes, isn't it? Okay, cool. So we've got our sign up form. We know how to share it. We've got our list. The last thing you need to know is how do you send that first email newsletter? So in Mailchimp, they're called campaigns. It's an old marketing term. That's why they're calling them though. Okay, and again, you're going to see some of the campaigns I recently sent to my followers. There they all are. Okay, so every time you send a campaign, it'll be stored in here. That's awesome. But of course, we want to create our first one. So you're going to go in here to create campaign. And no one is going to see the name of each campaign. So you can see here, I phrase them in certain ways so that I'll know what they were. So you can do that for yourself as well. So you can say it's my first newsletter, if I can spell that. Okay, and you want to make sure you're sending it in a certain type of campaign. Okay, so usually you're either going to choose regular or plain text. Regular meaning you can add all sorts of images, you can add, you know, sort of a template, which I'll show you in a second, or you can send plain text. So if you want it to just look like a regular old email, just text on the screen, you can absolutely do that very easily. The other one you might want to play around with is A/B testing. So that would be if you want to change a couple elements and see which one works better. But of course we won't worry about that right now. So let's pretend it's a regular one and we're going to create it. Now it's going to take me to this fun little wizard and it's going to walk me through the exact steps I need to do. So we're just going to follow their little list. So the first thing I need to do is choose which list I'm sending it to. Now it's going to tell you how many recipients you're sending there. Know this, that if you do schedule this campaign to send later and more people are added to your list in the meantime, they will be included on this. So for example, if I write up this email and I plan it in advance and I go through all of these steps down here at the bottom and I confirm it to send tomorrow at 9 a.m., it means that if one more person signs up to my list before tomorrow, they will still be updated to receive this campaign, okay? So don't worry about pre-planning campaigns and the newbies not being able to get them. They will automatically be populated into this list, okay? So we're sending it to my new test list. Of course, no one's there. And again, you can see it's pre-populated a couple of things here. So the campaign name, which I had chosen earlier, my name, and my email address. So I just need to choose the subject, okay? So the subject line is what they'll see. So this is what you'll see. Man, I should have added that in. That would have been funny. Don't worry about most of the checkboxes here, okay? None of these are extremely important. They just offer extra capabilities if you want them. Again, for your first few campaigns, you probably won't even touch them. I actually rarely touch them, and I've been doing this for years. So don't worry too much about it. Let's see, is there anything particular you need to click? Okay, the one thing you want to make sure that you want to see is tracking the open. So tracking every time somebody opens one of your emails. It'll help you understand which email subject lines are really intriguing people and which ones are not. Okay, so that's important. But everything else you can just leave it unchecked or done. Okay, next step, template. Now, it gives you some options here, okay? And know this, once you've done a couple campaigns, you can actually save your templates. So you see I have a couple here that I use repeatedly, okay? But for the first one or two, you might just want to choose a template and you're going to do it yourself, okay? So let's say I have a full width one column. I think that's the normal one that I use. But again, you can choose whatever you want, and as you can see, you can actually add elements even while you're here. So if you don't really like the way this is set up, you can simply click here, drag, and move things around, and if I want to put that there, etc., etc. Okay, so then you get to customize all these options. Okay, so you're just going to hover over here, click this little button, and it's going to pop up over here. So this is the part where you might say, you know, sort of your generic message or a little bit of a preview of what your email's content. So mine usually says writing in media with insane value and insane heart, just because that's my business tagline. But you can put a preview into that as well. And when you're done editing a section, you're just going to click Save and Close, and you get to move on to the next one. All right, so I want to upload an image. I have my handy dandy headers here. So this is the one I used for my Insane Heart Mastermind. And there we go, Save and Close. Then you can come in here and write your actual email. So let's make it normal size text and say, hi, everyone. Okay, that's not normal size text. Still not doing it normal size text. Okay, here's a fun trick. So I'm going to delete everything here, choose another option for a second, and then come back to it. And usually this fixes it. Yeah, it did. Okay, and you type your whole email here. Everything's awesome. Okay, now if you want to delete any of these elements, you don't like Mailchimp's pre-built template, you can just click the trash button and off it goes. Okay? The last thing to know is that down here, this stuff is required, so do not delete this. Again, this is to make sure you always need to have a way for people to unsubscribe every time you send a campaign. You have to make sure they are able to unsubscribe if they don't want to be on your list. Again, that's just a legal thing, and it's required. You probably want to keep your copyrights on there, pretty important. And of course, your mailing address. Again, very important to have that. It's a legal thing. You have to have it there. Okay? And then the last fun trick you might want to know is that you can include your customer's first name. So if you want to say, hey, first name, you simply say, hey, click on this little merge tag and choose first name. Haha. And that means when I send it, it's going to say, hey, Sarah Elizabeth. Isn't that personal and lovely? So when you're done creating your email, you're going to click the last button here. Remember to confirm it. This is very important. We often forget this. Okay, so it's not actually going to let me confirm or schedule this just yet because as you see, there's nobody on this list, so it doesn't like that I'm trying to send it to nobody and it's not going to work. Okay, but once all of these things have green boxes next to them or a yellow box, again, a yellow box is just to get your attention. It's not actually saying you cannot do something. It'll allow you to schedule or send it. So I'm just going to resolve this really quickly so you can see what that looks like when it lets me schedule or send it. Okay, see, now all my green boxes are checked. And I can either schedule or send. So if I click send, it's going to send it immediately. But of course, sometimes you want to do these in advance and you want to schedule it instead. So if I click schedule, I can choose to send it tomorrow at whatever time I want, or I could choose to send it, you know, in batches delivery. I wouldn't worry too much about this if your list is still very small. This only becomes a problem when it's like 500 or 600 or more. Because if people start clicking a lot, it could slow down your server. So that's really what's going on there, okay? And then you're just gonna click schedule campaign. Again, I'm not gonna do this because I'll forget to undo it and then, you know, it'll be sent to my whole list. And everyone's gonna be like, why is there this weird email being sent to us? And if you're on my list, you might laugh because you know exactly why. But anyway, so you can do that and everything's set. So when you click schedule, it'll say, woohoo, you just scheduled your first email, way to go. And the little monkey will give you a high five. So there we go. You know how to set up your first list in Mailchimp, how to get people to sign up for that list and to get that link so that they can, and how to send your first email campaign. Woot woot. Do a little dance with me, everybody. I know you can't see me, but I'm dancing all by myself over here. Hope you're dancing too. So hope this video was helpful. As always, if you ever have questions, feel free to hit me up at hi@sarahelizabethlahood.com. And remember, you are amazing. Technology is amazing. It allows you to do really, 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 really cool things if you just take a deep breath and give yourself lots of time to figure it out. So this was awesome. I hope it was helpful. If you have any questions, hit me up by email, and I'll see you guys very soon.